Hi everyone, welcome back to another section of this course. In this module, we're going to be talking about Figma. What is Figma? Figma is an interface design tool that runs in the browser. It gives you all the necessary tools for designing a world-class user interface. But it's actually much more than that. Because of the fact that Figma in its nature is an always online tool, it allows for live and real-time collaboration, which is a fantastic feature. Although Figma is browser-based, there are desktop versions for both Windows and macOS. I will show you how you could use both browser and desktop versions in the next video. Unlike other tools such as Sketch, Figma is free to use unless you need to create more than 3 projects. You can create unlimited pages and files in the free version. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone and welcome back to another video of this course. In this video I'm going to show you how you can create an account on Figma in order to use that for our projects. As I mentioned before, Figma is free to use. However, if you want to create more than 3 projects, you need to get the professional account, which is not necessary for this course. But the good news is, if you are a student and you are enrolled in a university or a school, you could always create a Figma account for a student and verify your student status and use it for free. That is fantastic. But if you are not a student, there is no problem. You can still use all the features of Figma with the free account, and you can still create unlimited pages and files. So how can you create an account? It's so simple. If you open up the Figma website, which is figma.com, you can click on sign up, and here you could choose whether you want to sign up with Google account or with your email address and setting a new password to your account. It's totally up to you. You can also log into your account with your Google account or with your email and password that you set. So let me log in with my Google account. There we go. And as you can see, whenever you create an account, you have already some projects here, which is called Figma Basics, Prototyping in Figma, and Wireframing in Figma. And if I open up this one, you could see some simple tutorials and some basics about Figma and how you could use that. You don't need to worry about it because we are going to cover all aspects of Figma in the next series of videos. Alright, as you can see on your left, you have some menus. The first one is your account or your profile. If you click on that, you can see it's your name. You can change your profile image, and here there are some options, personal access tokens, and we don't need to use that for now. And if you want to delete your account, you can use this option. The next option is search. You can search through your projects and your files. Then you have recent, which shows you the recent projects and files that you have opened. And then we have plugins, which gives you the option of installing some plugins, which is so important. And we will talk about it later. And then we have drafts. You can create some drafts. And also you have deleted files, okay? You can also create a new team over there if you want to work in a team. And also you could import your sketch file. It's amazing. And Figma automatically converts your sketch file to Figma file, and you could use it perfectly. Right now we are using Figma on our browser. However, as I mentioned before, you could always install Figma on your system. So how can you do that? It's so simple. If you go ahead to figma.com/downloads, or if I go ahead and log out, here is the landing page and you can see the resources. And if you hover on this link, you could see the downloads link over there. I'm going to click on that. And here we have the Figma downloads, which lets us download some resources. The first one is desktop app. And here you could find desktop app for macOS or desktop app for Windows. So depending on your operating system, you could download it and install it. Okay. Then we have live device preview. It's a great application. You could download it from App Store or Google Play, and then you could preview your design instantly. And last but not least, we have Font installers. What's that? When you're using Figma on your browser, Figma cannot get access to your local fonts, which is not good because most of the time you need to use your local fonts. So in order to fix that problem, you could download the font installer for Windows or Mac OS, then you could install it, and after that you can get access to your local fonts on your browser, which is pretty awesome. Although you could get access to your local fonts by installing this font installer, I highly recommend that you use the desktop version of Figma because it really accelerates your design process. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and in the next video I'm gonna talk about the environment of Figma and how you could use it simply. So see you then. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video of this course. In this video, we're going to be talking about the environment of Figma. So as you can see, right now I'm using Figma on my browser. However, I'm going to go ahead and open up the desktop version in order to accelerate my design process. So let me open up the Figma app. There we go. Alright, this is my primary account as you can see, and this is the desktop version that we can use easily. So first of all, let's go ahead and create a new file. Alright, and here as you can see, we can divide the Figma's environment into 4 different sections. The toolbar, which is right at the top, and it consists of all the necessary tools that you need for designing a world-class user interface. As you can see here, you have a menu, and here you have some sub-menus such as File, Edit, View, Object, Vector, Text, Arrange, etc. We will cover all of those options during this course. Here you have some tools such as Move Tools, Scale, and also the frame tool, the frame and slice tool. Then you have the objects or shapes tool, and also the pen tool. Then we have the text and comments. Right on your left, we have the layers pane that lists all of your layers and also all of your assets respectively. As you can see, there is no component here yet because we didn't create any components so far. However, in the future lessons, you will learn how to use these sections as well. Then on your right, we have the inspector, which consists of 3 different parts. As you can see, we have design, prototype, and code, okay? So if I click on A on my keyboard, I can create an artboard for starting my design process. For instance, I can choose phone, and here I'm going to choose iPhone 11 Pro or X. As you can see, you have the dimension right over there. I'm going to click on that, and here you have your artboard, and you can see the name on the layers list, and if you double click on that, you can change it to whatever you want. For instance, let's say home, pretty good, and I can easily choose the rectangle shape, and there we go. We have another layer right under this artboard, okay? And here on your right side in the inspector section, you have different options. For instance, in the design section, you have alignments, you have the dimension, and also the location, the positioning of your shape. You have also the constraints section, and we will dive into each section separately in the next series of videos. So don't worry if you don't understand what the constraints are or basically what they do. For example, here we have layer, and you can adjust the opacity of your layer and its mode. And here you have fill for changing the color. As you can see, we have stroke, we have effects for adding some shadows, and then we have the export. For prototyping, you can go to prototype section, and here we have different options as well that we will cover in the prototyping section of this course. You have also the code section, and it's so useful if you are a developer or you want to hand over the properties of your design to your web developer or even your application developer, because you can easily export your properties in code. For example, for iOS, we have variable and different properties. That's pretty cool. And last but not least, the 4th section is the canvas, which is in the middle of Figma. And here you will place all your designs and all your artboards. You have also the share option right over there that you can share your file or components with your team members, or even you can send it to your client for reviewing the project, etc. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video of this course. In this video, we're going to be talking about keyboard shortcuts in Figma. As a designer, it's so important to know the most important shortcuts of the platform you're using for designing. Because of the fact that Figma is a cross-platform software, it's too difficult to cover all those shortcuts in one video. However, instead of mentioning and discussing all those shortcuts, I'm going to show you a very great and quick way that you could find out the shortcuts you need for your workflow. Okay, so whether you're using macOS or Windows, you could use this way in both operating systems. As you can see right at the bottom right, there is a question mark icon. Okay, it's called help and resources. So if I click on that, you can see there is plenty of options here, and one of them says keyboard shortcuts, and this is exactly what we need. So let's click on that keyboard shortcuts. There we go. Now we have access to all those shortcuts in one single place. So as you can see, it's categorized in different sections such as essential, tools, view, zoom, text, shape, etc. And because I'm using macOS, for instance here it shows me command key. Okay, but if you're using Windows, for sure you will see control here. Or for instance, if I go to view, here I have command. For you, if you're using Windows, it's control for sure. So in this way, you can easily find the shortcuts you need. But now I'm gonna mention some of the most important shortcuts you may need for this course. Let's start with copy and pasting. So like other software, for copying and pasting, you can easily choose your element, like this text, and you can use Command C, and if you want to paste it, you can use Command V in macOS. Okay, however, if you're using Windows, you can press Control C and Control V, and you will get the same result. Okay, if I want to group these layers together, for instance, this Windows and macOS, like this, I can press Command G on my keyboard. However, in Windows, you can press Ctrl G. If you want to duplicate something, you can select your desired layer and press Command D, okay, in macOS. If you're using Windows, you can press Ctrl D instead. For scaling something, you can either go here and choose the scale tool, or you could press K on your keyboard. It doesn't matter whether you're using macOS or Windows, because you don't need to use Command or Control keys. You just need to simply press K on your keyboard, and as you can see, now the scale tool is selected. And last but not least, if you want to check the paddings and margins, you can hold Option key on your keyboard if you're using macOS, like this, and hover your mouse on top of other elements near your selected element. So as you can see, now I have this number, which is indicated with a red text, and this is the padding between these two elements. In Windows, you can hold Alt key on your keyboard and do the same thing. And if you want to zoom out, you can hold Command key and scroll like this. Zoom out and zoom in. In Windows, you can hold Control key and do the same thing. Alright guys, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video of this course. I hope you're doing well, and in this video, we're gonna be talking about the shapes, okay? The shape tool is one of the most important tools when you're designing a user interface, because no matter what kind of interface you're designing, for sure you will need to use one of these shapes, okay? So right at the top in the toolbar, you can find the shapes, and if you click on that, you can see that there are different shapes here. For instance, we have the rectangle, okay? And if I select that, I can easily create this shape by dragging and dropping. As you can see, we have created a rectangle, and it's called rectangle 1. Each shape has some properties. For instance, this shape has the corner radius property, and as you can see, it's indicated with these dots. So if I just click on one of them and drag the mouse a little bit like this, I can set the corner radius to 30. Alternatively, you can change the amount of corner radius right in the inspector over there. For example, I can set it to 50 like this. And if you want to change the corner radius for only one of those points or edges, you can hold Option key and then drag and drop like this. And as you can see, now we have different amount of corner radius for each point like this. As a matter of fact, you can customize your corner radius like this. If you just click on independent corners on this icon, you can see there is corner smoothing, and I'm gonna click on that, and here we have a slider, and I'm gonna set it to 60%, and as you can see here, it's written iOS. So what does that mean? Actually, in iOS, Apple uses smooth corners, okay? And if you're familiar with Sketch, we use the same term as well. So as you can see, it makes our corners much smoother, okay? Of course, you can increase it. However, 60% makes it look great. Perfect. All right. Of course, you can change the color of your shape as we have discussed in the previous video. However, we will cover all those features in the next series of videos. But for now, let's stick to the shapes. The next shape is called line, okay? It's just kind of a stroke. And if I hold Shift and 2, you can see that Figma brings this shape to me automatically in a way that I can see it clearly, okay? So I'm gonna click on that, and here on stroke, you have different properties as well. For instance, you can change the thickness of this line, or let's say this stroke like this. Let me set it to 10. And if you click on these dots, you can see that we have different options here. It's called advanced stroke, and we have cap and join. So what does that mean? Let's take a look at it. Let me open up this menu, and here we have different options. We have round, that will make our line rounded for both sides. We have square, which doesn't make sense because it's kind of the same. We have line arrow like this, and we have triangle arrow like this. And if I choose, for instance, line arrow, and I decide to modify this shape by double clicking on this shape, and for instance, moving this point, you can see that it will change automatically. Pretty good. And we will cover joins in the future lessons. All right. Now let's talk about the next shape. Let me click on done to finish editing. The next shape is an arrow, okay? Like this. It's again kind of a line, or let's say just stroke that we just created. However, you could create an arrow like this as well. As you can see, you have different types: round, square, line arrow, and triangle arrow. And the first one by default was mixed, okay? Because we had a customized line, okay? And the next shape is the circle. So I'm gonna hold Shift in order to keep the aspect ratio like this, and I'm gonna drag and drop to create this circle. Pretty good. And this circle has a new property which is called arc. So let's click on that and try to move a little bit to see what you can achieve by modifying this property like this. That's pretty awesome, and especially it's so useful when you're creating a chart. Awesome. And the next shape is called polygon, okay? I'm gonna create one. Let's remove this shape for now. I'm gonna make it larger. Pretty good. The polygon shape has two different properties. The first one is corner radius, and it works like rectangles, okay? And the second one is called count, which means the number of edges that we are using or we are creating. So let me increase it by holding Shift and clicking on that like this. I'm gonna move my mouse up and down. You can also modify it in the inspector. Let's set it to 8. Pretty good. And I can also modify the radius, obviously, here. Fantastic. Let me remove that, and I'm gonna create the star once again here. Pretty good. The star shape has 3 different properties. The first one is corner radius, again, like this. The second one is the ratio, which is the ratio between these 2 edges, like this. You can modify that. I'm gonna set it to 40. And the last one is count, okay? That you can increase and decrease as you wish. Pretty awesome. And last but not least is the place image, that you can choose an image from your system. And if you drag and drop like this, and make sure to hold the shift key on your keyboard in order to keep the ratio, you can place an image, okay? And you can also change the radius as well. It's so simple. Alright, so now let's talk about the dimension property right over there. So here, as you can see, you have different properties like X and Y, which refers to the position of this shape. So if I set 0 and 0 for Y, as you can see, it moves to the left and top corner because the 0 and 0 points starts from top and left corner, okay? And now you can modify the width and height. For instance, you can set it to 300. However, as you can see, the width and height are linked. So if you want to change them separately, you can easily unlink them by clicking on this icon, which is called constrain proportions. And then I can modify the width or height separately, like this. Alright, like in Sketch, you can do mathematical operations here. For instance, I can divide 300 by 2 like this, and there we go. We have 150. Or I can multiply 180 by 2. It's a great and useful feature when you're designing your user interface. And we have the alignments over there, right at the top. For instance, if I choose this object or this shape, I can align it to the center horizontally. I can align it to the left side, align it to the right side, align it to the top, align it vertically, and align it to the bottom, okay? Alright, but what if you want to align an object which is placed inside another object? So suppose that we are going to put this object, okay, here. I'm going to change the color to something like dark gray, like this. I'm going to make it smaller a little bit. Suppose that we are going to align this shape with our rectangle, okay, which looks like a square right now. But how can we do that? First of all, you need to make sure that you chose both objects at the same time. You can hold Shift key on your keyboard and select them, or you can select them like this with dragging and dropping, okay? Then you will click on align horizontal to the center and align vertical to the center, and it's done. Pretty awesome. Alright guys, so now in this video we have learned how to use shapes and you know the properties of each specific shape. So I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone and welcome back to another video of this course. In this video we're going to be talking about editing shapes, which is a very important topic because it happens all the time that you may need to edit your shapes. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna press A, and as you can see now I can choose my artboard. Let's open up the desktop menu, and here I'm gonna choose MacBook Pro. For this video it doesn't matter, but I have enough space to show you how you can edit your shapes. Then what I'm going to do is creating a new rectangle here. I'm gonna hold Shift and drag and drop like this. Then let's increase the corner radius. And by the way, if you hold Shift key on your keyboard, you can increase or decrease the corner radius by 10 units, okay, like this. Pretty good. Then I'm gonna fill it with another color. So let's look for a very beautiful blue. I think it's great. And then I'm gonna create another rectangle here. So let's hold Shift again. And I'm gonna show you a very great technique to choose your colors properly. Okay, so if you're not sure that how you could match a good color with this blue that creates a great contrast between them, you can first choose the same color like this, and then if you just move this circle to the darker side of this color palette like this, you can easily choose a perfect match with your background color, which is amazing, isn't it? So now, how can we edit our shape? In order to edit any shape, first we need to enter to the edit mode. So to do that, you can double click on that shape, and there we go. Now we are in edit mode, okay? And as you can see, we have 4 different nodes here, or let's say points, that we can start editing our shape with. So if I click on this circle and try to move it a little bit, you can see that I can easily edit this shape as I wish, like this, okay? I can even increase the radius of this corner in the inspector, something like this. You can also add more nodes on your path, okay? Like this. For example, here I can click once, and there we go. I just created a new node, and I can edit it in another way, like this. Okay, so let me come back to the first state of this rectangle, or let's say square, like this. So now suppose that you want to create something like a curve, okay? In that case, you can use the bend tool, which is here. You can click on that and choose one of those nodes. Then you can see that a handle controller appears. And with this handle controller, you can easily adjust your curve. Like this. It's awesome, isn't it? And the shortcut of bend tool is holding command on your keyboard. There we go. You can easily adjust your curve in order to meet your expectations. Pretty awesome. After editing your shape, you need to remember to close your editing mode. To do that, you can click on done like this. So right now we are out of editing mode. But isn't it better to create a real icon in order to show you how you could use the powerful editing mode? Let's do that. So first of all, I'm going to zoom in a little bit like this. Then I'm going to enter to edit mode. So let's double click. And after that, I'm going to create a new node right here. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. Then I'm going to drag it down by holding shift like this. Pretty good. And the next thing I'm going to do is selecting all nodes by holding Command A or Control A in Windows. Then I'm going to increase the corner radius. Okay, so let's increase it to 6 maybe. That's pretty good. And now I'm going to make it a little bit taller. And the last thing I'm going to do is rotating this icon. So in order to rotate anything in Figma, you can hover your mouse just outside your shape. And you can see that the rotation indicator or icon appears immediately. Then I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to rotate it by 180 degrees. As you can see, you have the amount here and there we go. What does it look like? You're right. It's like a bookmark. Okay, so can you see how amazing and powerful this editing tool is? So I'm going to make some changes in order to make it better. Let me double click on the shape and I'm going to select these 2 top nodes and then increase the corner radius to 26 maybe. Pretty awesome. All right, let me select both layers and I'm going to group them by Command G or Control G in Windows and I'm going to name it bookmark. Pretty awesome. So what else can we do? Let's go ahead and create a polygon here. I'm gonna set the color to the same blue as our bookmark icon. And let's copy and paste this background as our frame. So I'm gonna hold Command key or Control key in Windows and click on this rectangle or square and copy it by Command C and I'm gonna paste it. However, remember to move this layer outside this bookmark group. I'm gonna move it a little bit like this. Pretty awesome. Now let's double click on this triangle and here I'm going to create another node right at the bottom like this and let me drag it a little bit. There we go. We have our GPS marker. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Let me make it smaller. Fantastic. Okay, let me group it and I'm gonna write marker. Pretty awesome. Let me enlarge this artboard a little bit. Then I'm gonna show you how you can use the pen tool. So suppose that you want to create, for instance, an arrow, okay, a curved arrow. How can you do that? It's so simple. Let's start with adding a node. Then you need another node like this. And the last one here. That's all. First of all, I'm going to increase the stroke thickness to 4 maybe. Then I'm going to rotate it a little bit. And if I click on these dots, I can change the cap mode to line arrow like this. It's pretty cool. I can even edit it like this. So can you see how easy it is to create new shapes and edit them? Pretty awesome. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And in the next series of videos, we will practice using these tools by creating real world projects. So don't worry if you do not understand all the details. I will make sure to explain everything in detail. So I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video of this course. In this video, we're going to be talking about the layers panel. Knowing that how you could use the layers panel properly is so important. It may seem easy to use, however, sometimes it gets a little bit tricky in terms of reordering your layers and your objects, okay? So let's dive into this part and I'm going to show you how you could use it efficiently. So as you can see, you have the layers list on your left. And here you could see all your layers, all your groups, and also all your frames. Whenever you create a new shape or a new object, it goes to the top of this layers list, okay? So let's try it out. I'm gonna create a rectangle here. As you can see, I have rectangle 1. And for renaming this rectangle, I'm gonna double click on that and let's call it R1, okay? Then I'm gonna create another shape. Let's create a circle. Pretty good. I'm gonna change the color in order to make it more visible. Pretty awesome. And I'm gonna call it C1, okay? As you can see, C1 has been placed to the top of this layers list, okay? And it appears to the front of your canvas. So this is the reason that this circle is visible here. If I move this layer below R1, it's not visible anymore. However, you could still change its properties, like its color or its size. And if I move it back to its previous position, you can see that it's visible again. So ordering your layers is so important. Now suppose that we are going to group our layers. Let's select these two shapes and hold Command G. And as you can see, we just created group 1. And whenever you want to see the layers included in this group, you can use this small arrow next to this icon, which indicates that this is a group, okay? I'm going to click on that and there we go. For selecting a layer, you can easily click on that, okay? And as you can see, a light blue box appears in order to show that this layer has been selected. If you go to menu and go to preferences, you can see that you have different options here. One of them is highlight layers on hover. What does that mean? It means that if you hover your mouse on top of each layer, like for example C1, you can see on the canvas that a blue line will appear in order to show that this is your desired layer, okay? So I'm gonna select that, and if you wanna ungroup these layers, you can easily click on this group name and then right click here and you can click on ungroup like that. I'm gonna use Command Z or Control Z in Windows. Alright. So now what if you want to hide some layers? It's so simple. Suppose that we are going to hide this circle, which is called C1. In order to do that, first of all, we need to hover on that specific layer like this. And then an eye icon appears immediately next to this padlock. So I'm gonna click on this eye icon and you can easily toggle this layer off and on like this. You can also lock each layer by clicking on this padlock in order to prevent your layer from accidental edit. So when you lock your layer, you cannot move your layer, you cannot interact with your layer. However, you can still change its properties. So let's try it out. I'm gonna try to move this layer a little bit. And as you can see, because it has been locked, I cannot move it, okay? So its position is fixed. And you can use this technique for locking your backgrounds. Sometimes it may be useful. However, now let's try to change some of its properties. For instance, I'm going to change its color, and as you can see, I can still get access to its properties, although it has been locked. And in order to unlock that, you can again click on this padlock, and there we go, it's unlocked. You can recognize the type of each layer on your layers list based on the icon next to its name. As you can see on the picture, we have frame, we have groups, we have components that we will talk about in the future lessons. We have instances, we have text object, we have shape, image, and animated GIF, okay? So now let's talk about the positioning of your layers once again, because I'm going to show you how you can reorder the positioning of your layers right on the canvas. Suppose that you want to bring this square, or let's say rectangle, to the front, okay? In order to do that, of course, you can go to layers list and move it like this, and it's done. However, there is an alternative for that. You can easily right click on that on canvas, and you can choose bring to front. There we go. If you're familiar with Adobe Illustrator, you know that you could use the same functionality in that software as well. Now let's go to the assets section. Here, as you can see, because we haven't created any components yet, we can't see any components here. Basically, components are parts of your design that you can reuse. Okay, we will talk about it later, and we will dive into components in the future lessons. We have another option here which is called pages, and right at the top, as you can see here, we have page 1, and if I click on that, you can see that I have pages. It's called page 1. You can rename that. I'm gonna change it to website. You can duplicate that if you just right click on that layer. As you can see, you can add a new page to this page list like this. We can call it page 2. And the good news is that there is no limit for creating pages. So you are free to create as many pages as you want. For instance, you could separate some parts of your design in order to make it clear when you're working in a team, or if you want to create different prototypes, it's a good idea to have different pages as well. So I'm gonna go to website, and that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video of this course. In this video, we're going to be talking about text. We as UI UX designers use text all the time, and we need to know all the secrets behind the text tool. So in order to create a text in Figma, you can easily head over to the toolbar and click on this text icon, or you could press T on your keyboard like this. Awesome. And if you click once, you will create an area text layer, or let's say a paragraph text layer. Okay, so I'm gonna write, hello, we are UI UX designers. Pretty awesome. And as you can see, this kind of text line grows horizontally when you're typing. Okay, of course you can change it. However, first of all, let me show you how you can change the font size. If you head over to the text inspector on your right side, you can change the font, you can change the font size, you can change the weight. We will talk about all these properties later. So first of all, I'm going to change it to 36. Pretty awesome. Now I'm going to select the frame, and I'm going to press Shift and 2. Alright, so as I mentioned before, this is an area text line. So what if you want to make it grow vertically? In order to do that, you can click on these dots, and here you have plenty of options to change. But what we need is this resizing. As you can see, it's set as default to grow horizontally. If you want to make it grow vertically, you can change it to grow vertically here. And if I continue typing from now on, it grows vertically. I'm gonna write, thank you for your support, like this. You can also create a fixed size text line, or you could change it here like this. But what if you want to create a fixed size text line by yourself? It's so simple. First, you will choose the text tool, then you will click and drag like this. And in this way, you will specify the dimension of your text box like this. Okay. And if I write anything here, like we are talking about text and comparing different options like this. And if you want to modify the dimension of this text box, you can easily hover on top of this blue bounding box and your cursor immediately changes to the scale icon. Okay. And I can modify it like this. Pretty good, isn't it? Let me change the weight to regular. All right. Sometimes it may be useful to convert a text line to a vector. Okay, so how can you do that? If I right click here, I can go ahead and click on flatten, and there we go. Now our text is a vector, as you can see over there, and you can modify each letter separately. So I'm gonna zoom in and let's double click on this H. There we go. Suppose that I'm gonna change something here. For instance, let's select these nodes and I'm gonna increase the corner radius like this. And also for this one. Isn't it pretty cool? So converting your text line to a vector is useful, especially if you're designing a logo or a word mark, etc. All right, suppose that I'm gonna create another text line like this. Let's write H, then I'm gonna duplicate that once again and once again, and let's write E, and here L, and here L. I'm gonna duplicate that, and O, okay? Let me move them a little bit. So as I mentioned before, in order to make your text line a vector, you need to flatten your text line. But what if you want to keep your layers as they are? For instance, here I have 5 different layers and I'm gonna make it vector. In this case, you can right click and instead of choosing flatten, you can choose outline stroke, okay? And now you have all the letters as a vector. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? Alright guys, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching it, and I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well and welcome back to another video of this course. In this video, we're going to be talking about the text inspector, okay? How you can customize your text. So without further ado, let's get started with selecting this text. And in the text inspector, we have different options. As I mentioned before, some of them, I'm gonna review them. The first option is the font, that you can easily get access to your local fonts or the Figma fonts, okay? You can easily change your font, and now I'm gonna set it back to Montserrat. The next option is the weight of your font. You can modify it to thin, light, regular, bold, and black. However, keep in mind that these options may be different for different fonts, okay? So I'm going to set it to regular, and the next property is the font size. As you can see, you can change your font size easily, so I'm going to change it to 68. You can also do mathematical operations here. I'm going to divide it by 2. Pretty awesome. Then we have the line height, which is so important when you are designing a user interface in terms of visibility of your lines in different screen size. As you can see, it has been set to auto. Figma calculates the line height by percentage, okay? It's based on your font size. So if you want to declare your own line height in pixel, you can easily write, for example, 80 pixel like this. And now this value is based on pixels, not percentage anymore, like this. The next property is letter spacing, which determines the spacing between your letters, like this. And then we have paragraph spacing. We cannot see the changes here because we have created only one paragraph. So I'm gonna make this font size a little bit smaller. Let's set it to 24. And I'm gonna change the line height to auto. And let's add one more paragraph to it. So I'm gonna write, we are talking about properties, like this. So now if you change the paragraph spacing, you can see that it changes immediately. And then we have the paragraph indentation. And if I increase this, you can see that you can specify this amount and it will add some white space before the first word of each paragraph. All right, I'm gonna undo this Pretty good. And here we have the horizontal alignments. We have text aligned to left, text aligned to center, and text aligned to right. And after that, we have the vertical alignment. As you can see, I can change it as well. However, keep in mind that this option is only applicable to a fixed size text layer. As you can see, you can apply these changes because we are using a fixed size text layer. But if I create another text here, hello, I am testing it. Now if I change the vertical alignment, nothing happens, okay? You have also some advanced properties that you can get access to by clicking on these three dots. Here you have the preview section that you can preview each operation whenever you hover your mouse on top of these options. So the first one is resizing, and I have explained you in the previous video. You have three different options: grow horizontally, grow vertically, and fixed size text layer. Then you have alignment like this. And after that you have decoration. As you can see, it's set to none, so we don't have any decoration. However, you can choose underline or strike through like this. After that, we have the letter case. You can specify which kind of letter case you want to use. For example, this one is uppercase. We have lowercase. So if I choose uppercase, all of my letters become uppercase. Okay, if I choose lowercase, as you can see, the changes apply immediately. And then we have title case, we have small caps, and force small caps. Pretty awesome. We have also case sensitive forms. However, it's not applicable for this selected text, so we're gonna leave it for now. Then we have numbers, so we cannot see the changes here because we are not using any number in our text, but you can preview them here. Alright, you can even choose the fraction. It's totally about numbers, and these are so advanced, and most of the time we don't use them in our designing process. Alright guys, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching it, and I will see you in the next video. Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well, and welcome back to another video of this course. In this video, we're going to be talking about text styles. Actually, styles allow you to specify a set of properties in order to reuse them across your projects, and you could also share them with your team. So in this video, we are going to dive into text styles, and I'm going to show you how important it is to create your text style when you're designing a user interface. Suppose that you're designing a very complicated project, which consists of 50 or more screens. In this case, you're using a specific font, and after a while, you suddenly decide to change, for instance, the font of your header, or even the font size or the weight. So wouldn't it be nice that you could make those changes once, and the changes would apply to all your text at the same time? That's fantastic. This is what text styles do. So now without further ado, let's get started with inserting a new text. I'm gonna add, for instance, header 1, and I'm gonna make it bold. Actually, when you're designing a website, we have 6 different types of headers from H1 to H6 in HTML. You don't need to know every detail about it. However, it's good to be familiar with some terms and some rules of HTML or CSS. Alright, now it's our header 1, and I'm gonna set the size to 80 like this, and then I'm gonna create my first text style. How can I do that? It's so easy. Do you see these 4 dots? I'm gonna click on that, and here there is a plus icon which lets me create a new text style, and I'm gonna write H1. Then let's duplicate it. Let's write H2 here. Alright, and here as you can see, it uses the previous text style that we just defined for header 1. So first of all, we need to detach it from its style, okay? And then I'm gonna set it to 60, pretty good. And I'm gonna create another text style, and let's call it H2. Let's duplicate that. Once again, detach it from its text style, and let's set it to 30. I'm gonna write header 3. Let's create a new text style as well, H3, and that's all. So now how can we apply our text styles to our text layers? So let me create a new text. I'm gonna write promotions, okay? And as you can see, it automatically uses H3. You can easily change that by clicking on this menu, and I'm gonna set it to H2. There we go. And if I go to my text style here, header 2, and I make some changes, those changes will apply to these promotions text as well. So let's give it a try. Let's go to H2, and here you have edit style. I'm gonna click on that, and for instance, I'm gonna make it regular. There we go. Did you see how amazing it is to use text styles? You can also change the font size. For instance, I'm gonna set it to 40, and that's done. However, keep in mind that if you change the text color, it doesn't apply to the instance of that text style. So if I, for instance, change the color of this header 2, for example, to this color, as you can see, nothing happens. Because for that, we need to create a color style, which we will cover in the future lessons. Alright, now let me duplicate these promotions, and then we can try H3 as well. Alright guys, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of this course. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Boolean operations. Actually, nowadays we use Boolean operations almost in every aspect of our life, such as art, programming, design, etc. As difficult as it may sound, actually Boolean operations are so simple. So let's dive into it, and I'm going to show you how you could use them easily. So as you can see, I have created a simple project here with 4 different artboards, and I call them union, subtract, intersect, and exclude. And these are our Boolean operators, okay? Like as you can see here, we have this menu, and we have union selection, we have subtract selection, we have intersect selection, and we have exclude selection, okay? So first of all, let me choose this artboard, and I'm gonna hold Shift and 2 like this. As you may guess, union means combining, okay? If I try to overlap this shape with this circle, as you can see, they have been overlapped, okay? So if I choose the Boolean operations and I choose union operation, you can see that we have combined these 2 circles into one single shape. And here you could of course get access to sub layers like these circles, and you can still edit it. However, we have one single shape, and these operations are so useful for creating icons, and we will talk about it later. Alright, now let's go ahead and talk about the next operation, which is subtract. So first of all, let me overlap this shape like this, and I'm going to choose subtract. And as you can see, it subtracts the overlapping section from the base shape. Okay, so the overlapping section is this part in the middle. So when I choose subtract, it removes this overlapping section from this base shape, which is the left circle, like this. So as you can see, the subtract operation is the opposite of union, okay? And the next operation is intersect. So let me overlap these 2 layers like this. And I'm going to click on intersect selection, and this operation removes all the areas except the overlapping section like this. And the next operation, which is the last one, it's called exclude, and it's the opposite of intersect operation. So if I overlap these 2 shapes like this, and I click on exclude selection, you can see that it keeps all the areas except the overlapping section. So did you see how simple it is to use Boolean operations? They are so useful. Now, don't you think it's a good idea to create some icons with this knowledge? That's great. So first of all, I'm going to create another artboard, and I'm going to click A on my keyboard. Let's drag and drop to create a new frame like this. And suppose that we want to create a search icon. Okay, so what do we need? We need a circle. So I'm going to create one, and I'm not going to fill it with color. So I'm going to remove the fill and add some stroke like this. I'm going to increase the thickness of this stroke. Let me see. I think 15 is great. And I'm going to create a rectangle as well with the width of 15 as well. And I'm going to change the color to black like this. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm going to move it up. Then let's select both objects and align them to the center, and I'm gonna choose union selection like this. Pretty good. And now I can rotate it. Awesome. Did you see how simple it is to create an icon with these Boolean operations? Pretty good. I hope you liked it. Now let's create another icon. For instance, let's create a cloud icon. I'm going to create a rectangle here like this, and let's increase the radius. Pretty awesome. And I need to create a circle as well like this. Let me overlap it. Pretty good. And then I'm going to select both of them and select union selection, and there we go, we have our cloud. So if I change the color to black, you can see how amazing it is. You can also customize it later, or even, for instance, I can remove the fill and I can add stroke like this if you prefer this kind of styling. But remember, when you're designing some icons for a specific project, you need to keep the thickness of your lines the same for each specific icon in order to be consistent in your design. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video of this course. In this video, we're going to be talking about constraints and responsive layouts. So what are constraints and why do we need to make our design responsive? So suppose that you're designing a web page or an application screen and you're using, for instance, this artboard, MacBook Pro. Okay, then what happens when your user uses the portrait mode like this? So if you didn't make your design responsive, everything would be disorganized. So in this video, we're going to be talking about constraints and how you could make your pages responsive. First of all, I'm going to design a simple landing page here. So let's go ahead and add a rectangle here like this. And I'm going to change the color to dark blue. Pretty awesome. Then I'm gonna add a text here. Let's write welcome to the world of UI UX design. Let me change the color to white for now, and I'm gonna change the font to SF Pro text. I'm gonna make it larger a little bit. Let's set it to 64, and I think it's better to make it a fixed size text layer like this. Then let me align it to the center and also here. Pretty good. Then what else do we need? I'm gonna add some links or menus at the top. So let's write home. I'm gonna make it white as well. Let's make it smaller. I think 24 points is great. Duplicate that. Then let's write pricing. Once again, duplicate that. And here, services. Once again, I'm gonna duplicate that. And now contact us. Pretty good. That's all. So first of all, let's change the spacing between them, and I'm gonna choose this menu in the inspector, and I'm gonna click distribute horizontal spacing like this. And in this way, the spacing between my links or my menus will be equal. And if you want to check the spacing between your objects, you can easily select one text or object and then hold Option key or Alt on your keyboard, and you can hover your mouse on top of the text or shape next to your previous shape. As you can see, it has been set to 25. I'm gonna make it 24 like this. Pretty awesome. And now let's make this text bold. So I'm gonna choose bold. Now it's better, and I'm gonna make it a little bit larger. Pretty good. And let's group our menus at the top. Command G or Control G, and I'm gonna write menus. Pretty awesome. I aligned it vertically as well, and that's all for now. So now, as you can see, we have designed this page for MacBook Pro with this dimension 1440 by 900, and it has been designed for landscape mode. So if I change it to portrait, you can see that everything will be disorganized. Okay, so we need to make our page responsive. To do that, first let's select this text, and as you can see in the inspector, you have something called constraints. So we are going to use that, and as you can see, the constraints are set to top and left, but we are going to change it because we need to keep this text to the center of our screen. Okay, I'm gonna change it to center, and let's keep this to top because we need to keep this distance to the top the same. And now if I choose my frame and change it to portrait mode, you can see that it automatically changes its position, and now everything is great. The next thing we need to do is to set constraint for our menus. So let's go back to landscape mode, and now I'm gonna select the menus, and as you can see, the constraints are set to left and top. However, they need to set to the center and top, so I'm gonna change it to the center. And now if I change my frame to the portrait mode, you can see that it will change responsively like this. It's pretty cool, isn't it? However, what if I make my screen even larger like this? You can see that my background is not responsive. So now please pause the video and try to fix that issue by yourself. And then I will show you how you could do that. Alright guys, I'm pretty sure that you could fix that by yourself. However, now I'm going to show you as well in case that you had difficulties doing that. Alright, so in order to make your background responsive as well, first let's choose this rectangle, which is our background, and as you can see, the constraints are set to the left and top edges. The only thing we need to change is this one. So if we can change it to left and right, everything would be great. Now let's give it a try. Now I'm gonna make my frame even larger, and as you can see, we have a stretchy background like this. That was pretty easy. Alright guys, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.